everybody. So this is kind of unique. We actually talked so long about the 8 gifts of Hanukkah that I decided afterwards to make it its own episode. So this is now the episode talking about the 2 other films from this weekend. So if you want to hear what we have to say about the 8 gifts of Hanukkah, please check out that. I'll put a link in the description. But here we are to talk about the 2 remaining films from the weekend, A Very Merry Bridesmaid and Our Christmas Journey. So thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are very excited here for another week recap of this weekend's Hallmark movies. This is our 7th week of Hallmark movies for this season. We're nearing the finish line, if you can believe it. And it's just the beginning of December, but it's true. And we're very excited to talk about 3 movies today. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Stacey Agdern is here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Rachel.
Yes, thank you for coming, and happy late Hanukkah. You had a great time. All right, so we have A Very Merry Bridesmaid, and this stars Emily Osment and Casey Diedrich, and director David Strasser, writer Stacey Agdern, who is just, to me, has won this season. I loved Kiss Before Christmas. I thought it was so good, and this, spoiler alert for my rating, I really loved this too. I thought it was very good. And the summary is Leia's 30th birthday is on the same day as her brother's wedding. Her childhood crush is back in town for the wedding, and he is determined to make sure her birthday does not go by the wayside. And I think what is really impressive about this movie is that I should not like this movie. This movie is like a planning movie where all they're doing is basically planning stuff. And normally I hate that. I think that's so boring. But I really liked it. I thought that the characters and the writing was very good in this movie. And like every character, even like a side character, like her brother, had like some depth to his character. Yeah. Like there were a lot for these kinds of movies. There were a lot of, I thought, pretty complex characters within one film in a short runtime to try to develop. And I just thought it was really excellent. What did you think?
One of the things I've noticed watching this one and 8 Gifts of Hanukkah was how similar the backstory was for the hero of 8 Gifts of Hanukkah and the hero of this movie. How it was practically like identical, and I loved that for a lot of reasons. You know, I love the fact that like both of the families like embraced, these characters, and how it's not working today.
Yeah, like how lovely was it that they took time out of the wedding to recognize that was her birthday?
I did not think it was going to happen.
I
honestly did not think that was going to happen. I was like, oh my God. And I should say, like, my birthday has like sort of intertwines with Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and a whole bunch of other holidays. So like, needless to say, I get this. I feel her pain. Like, this year, my birthday was the second night of Hanukkah and I lit all the candles, but like, I totally felt that pain. Like, oh, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like all of the other things in the world is going to happen. And the thing is like, when it was so important to him that her birthday be celebrated, that was like, okay, what's going on here? There's gotta be something else going on here, because this is lovely. This is very much appreciative as someone who, also has this birthday issue, but like, there's got to be something else going on. And
that is true. They are very similar stories. There's even like a grandma character who's passed away. I hadn't really, for some reason, I hadn't really thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Like the friends to lovers in both cases, but in this case, she spends way more time with him.
Yes.
Because there's no other dating or other people. She's spending all the time with him and like getting more and more attached, and their conversations felt really tender and sweet. And I bought it, that they were becoming reacquainted with each other.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because I had suspicions at the beginning, and I was like, did her brother say anything to her friend? Did her brother say anything to his friend? Because I was like, and then sure enough, he kind of did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
just I loved that scene when they were like really cozy sitting together, and she says, "I forgot what a good listener you were. Thanks for understanding."
yes.
That was so good. And,
It was
and
like,
basically, like, her big issue is that so she was planning on going on a trip, and then her dad had a heart attack. And so she needed to come back. and forget where it was the trip. And then
Peru,
she
I
had
think.
another
Okay.
trip planned,
Yeah. Mhm.
and he had another heart incident. And so she is kind of paralyzed by that. And she feels like she can't leave because something horrible is going to happen to her father. And so that was, I thought, a really interesting conflict. I've never heard of that conflict in these. And I also appreciated the fact so that her sister-in-law to be could have definitely been an insufferable bridezilla character, but they didn't go there. I mean, she has like legitimate like things to be sad about because she'd gone all the way to England for her dress. Her dress has been lost. It was her dream dress that she had, you know, dreamed of wearing and everything. And so I thought that they wrote her character also very well, that it was not this like, you know, kind of a character. Like she was just, and like when everybody else was going out shopping and they weren't including her, like she wasn't a bridezilla about that, but she was all like, oh, okay, I guess, you know, she was just like a little sad, you know. I thought her character was well done as well.
She was really, really lovely. And like, I loved sort of how I get the feeling that she would have understood if Leah had said, you know, if the heroine had said something about a birthday, like the way that they drew her character, which was important, you know, like, but I really liked how they were bonding, and I liked how very, very like grateful she also seemed to be as well, like as, you know, like future sister-in-law randomly staying with me for 2 weeks. Like, okay, sure, you know, like out of nowhere. And oh, of course I will. And of course I'll give you time for my story. And of course I'll do this and the other thing.
Yeah. And so the brother is buying the dream house. And it's interesting because we also had this in the Open by Christmas. And I didn't really like it in there because I don't know. I just feel like you should have some say in the house that you're going to be living in, like even if it's technically your dream house. And I mean, it is still kind of not my favorite here, but it was handled, I thought, better here and more sweet. And I guess I really didn't like Eric Durance's character in Open by Christmas. And this, I liked the sister-in-law's character very much. And so I don't know, it's just the whole thing. I was able to go with it and be cute.
It worked. Like, and the thing is, like, I think one of the things that sort of made it okay for me was the fact that they'd actually tried to buy it before.
Yeah.
That they'd actually took substantial steps towards acquiring her childhood home before, but were not able to do it. And so, and the fact that their real estate agent has been on the case.
Yeah.
Since then made it okay for me. And her reaction made it fantastic because like, you know, it wasn't like he was buying some house that she hadn't seen or like hadn't wanted or like.
And I loved when she says, I just love poinsettias. They are so happy. And that reminded me of Kathleen Kelly in You've Got Mail. Don't you think daisies are the friendliest flower?
Yes.
Great. And then they had this very swoon-worthy carriage ride that was good. And not only was it a good carriage ride, but they also had like good conversation and we're getting closer. It was building the chemistry so well between you know, these two people. And I don't think I've ever seen I've never seen Casey Diedrich, I think, before. And I liked him a lot. He was very good.
It was interesting because like my first thought was he looks like the guy who was in The Spirit of Christmas, Thomas Baudouin. I was like, oh my God. Like that was my first impression.
He does look like him.
And I literally had to go double check, like, did he star in The Spirit of Christmas? No, he did not, but still, you know.
Which is saying a lot because Thomas, what is his name?
Baudouin? Yeah.
He is one of the most handsome people I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Sometimes love needs a little push. Lizzie Shane, the award-winning author of The 12 Dogs of Christmas, has a brand new small-town romance set in Pine Hollow, Vermont, where every happily ever after begins with adopting an adorable rescue dog.
First love gets a second chance into all the dogs I've loved before when the town librarian, mischievous Australian Shepherd, keeps getting loose and fetching her ex, the town sheriff.
Lizzie Shane's Pine Hollow series has been called an irresistible blend of heart, humor, and a whole lot of puppy love.
And To All the Dogs I've Loved Before is available now wherever books are sold.
To learn more, visit www.lizzieshane.com.
That's lizzieshane.com. To her friend Marcy, the lawyer, and she says, I'm hanging out with him while I can. So she intentionally is like honest about the fact that she is getting attached to him.
Yep.
As opposed to most of these consumers like, no, it's not. We're just doing errands, where she actually says, no, I know I'm going to take advantage of every single minute I have to spend with him because I like this person. That was very refreshing.
Yes. And the fact that like he later admitted to like how he was feeling, you know, like it's like, it's a zombie cry. Like I thought like, so I talk about this
very intentional.
Yes, extremely so. Like he was like, I had a crush on her in high school, but I didn't want to act on it because who knows what was going to happen. But it's a zombie crush, as I like to talk about it. The zombie crush, feelings that you thought were going to die a painful death and no longer exist, but then all of a sudden you come in contact with the person again and you're like, oh, there's the crush again, there's the feelings again, oh, there they are, like a perennial flower or something that affects. But like he literally is like, I have these feelings again and I am going to act on them this time.
Yeah. Well, and he finds this whole sort of scrapbook kind of thing that they made of all the trips that they wanted to go on.
Yeah.
And then she has all these pictures of Peru she wanted to do. And she's talking, I think it's to Marcy, I can't remember, but they say tacking on days at the end of a work trip is not a vacation. Was her mother?
Yeah,
okay,
that was her mom.
Remember.
Yeah.
But tacking on days at the end of a work trip is not a vacation. And I have done that before. I've tacked on vacation days at the end of a work trip, and it's pretty fun actually. But I see the point that really setting the time to be 100%. I'm taking a break, which is so hard to do when you're a freelancer. Yeah. When you're not, I mean, it's almost impossible for me. I have to be at least like semi-involved, at least in social media and other things going on, and I can't really take 100% off, but. But it's good. And they say maybe we can take more time for ourselves in the new year. And so that's when they go to her friend Kendra and they find a dress for her sister-in-law, and that was very sweet. And the house reveal was well done, I thought. And you just felt happy for her sister-in-law. I forget her name. What's her name? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you felt happy for her sister-in-law. And then you have this whole scene where Paul is telling everybody, don't mess with my sister. And then he specifically tells Drew, don't hurt her. Yep. So that was a good moment.
And I love the lock screen on his phone that he goes to. Drew, yes, that's the hero's name. With the picture of him and Leah,
right,
from that moment where like he tells her your story is not over yet. I was like, I wrote this down. I was like, this is fantastic. It's like that photo, like we're in the middle of their bachelor party, and like he's got the photo.
And so then you have a ugly sweater bachelor party, which was a fun idea. I liked that. Yeah. And there's the mistletoe moment with the kiss. And what I really liked about this moment was that they actually like deal with the kiss as part of the plot and conflict in the story.
Yes.
That, you know, that's that so the relationship is building and building and building. You get to this moment, and so often in these movies you either have a near kiss or a kiss, and then it's just kind of completely forgotten about, and they're back to skating and going picking trees and stuff like that. And you're like, no, if I kiss somebody or almost kiss somebody, I don't think there's that big a difference. You would definitely have to like talk about it and deal with it, and it would be something important, you know, because you just don't kiss anybody.
No.
Certainly not in Hallmark world, you don't.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and you know, you kiss with intent in Hallmark.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how it works, whether it's under the mistletoe or not. And like it's you gotta deal with it.
And then there was a great scene between her and her dad. And because her dad realizes what has happened, and he didn't realize it, that she had stopped these trips, you know, because of him. And she says that he doesn't want to be holding her back, and that you don't have to carry everything on your shoulders. I'm still your dad. Oh, my heart. That was so sweet. I love that.
That was fantastic. Like he actually saw her. Like, I think that's the other thing too that I loved about this movie is that all of these people slowly realize, no, actually, we haven't been seeing this person.
Right.
That like, you know, we think we know her, but we don't.
Yeah. And, you know, my dad is a very, very busy person, very busy. And so when he takes the time, and he does take the time to express his love for each of us individually and different, you know, there's 6 of us, so that's a lot. It means something extra special. And I felt that here, that relationship between them. It was very sweet.
Yes.
And then the wedding I thought was good. It was very, very well done. And you get this great scene between Drew and Paul. Yes. And Drew says he has a crush on Leah, was her name. Yeah. And then Paul says, nothing would make me happier than you two finding each other, which was the perfect response. And
yes,
all of this was also another point where if they, in a poor script, the sister-in-law could have been a bridezilla and been like, why are you stealing my day? And why are you, you know, like all this stuff. She could have been horrible, but she wasn't. She was awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing was, I also loved how low key it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was very like, just so you know, and like, you know, because of course, like he must have said something before. So like, you know, Paul was very like, had said, you know, multiple times, like, stay away from my sister, stay away from my sister. And so he finally is like, look, I can't, it's not happening. And he's like, excellent, you know, second best thing I've heard all day. Like, great.
Yeah. Yes, that was so good. Yeah, the second best thing I've heard all day. And like we said, the whole thing with them remembering her birthday, with them giving her their mileage, collective mileage was so lovely. And I did like her second dress a lot more than her first dress.
Yeah.
It was like her first dress was kind of a weird blue with black flowers, weird dress. The second one was a spaghetti strap with a red sparkly. It was beautiful.
Yes.
So I was more a fan. Not that we're a fashion podcast, but there we go. And she finds out he's not going to sell the house. And
that they can meet, you know, her in Peru and him in Costa Rica. And I was like, yes, please.
And then he says, they say, is that the only reason you are coming back? And he says, I want to be wherever you, I want to be where you are, wherever that might be.
I loved how open-ended and how open that is. Like, I loved how this ending understood this couple and their needs.
Yeah.
I could buy this ending.
Yeah. And I'm like, I've said it before, I am really getting weary of the we live in different places, therefore we can't be together conflict.
Yeah, because that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, because if you really loved somebody, you would move. Like you just would. Like they like a relationship is, there's no job that's more important than being with the person that you love.
Or like, and like you make it, or like make it work somehow. Like either like eventually you would move. But
yeah,
like,
eventually you would move.
Like opening that door to continued long distance and then moving. Like,
yeah.
I like sort of the understanding, because I think the understanding here says a lot more about how Drew understands Leah and how he understands her need to travel, to be like, she's not upset when she says she's going. And I think that's like one of the biggest things I love about this ending, is that just because he is ready to settle in a place doesn't mean that he needs her to. And I think there are a couple of movies that have done that exactly. And I'm like, that's not going to last. That's maybe going to last 5 seconds because this person doesn't understand.
Right. And so, she would go on her travels and then come back and they would be together. Like,
exactly.
like you would do. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of like in the thing that drove me crazy in Chesapeake Shores is they were all like, you're going on tour, we can't be together. And it's like, no, are you crazy? He's a singer, he's gonna go on tour.
Exactly, that's his job.
And then you
like,
just
what?
be in a relationship. Like, what?
Exactly.
I mean, that's so like in this, and when he's talking about all the different things he loves about the town, and he says, the thing I love most is that you're here. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. It's so good.
That was so sweet.
The only thing I care about is that you see me.
Yeah, you see me. Like, I literally have this underlined, like, you can kind of, oops.
Yeah.
Hello. There we go. You see?
So I'm telling you, all of you listeners, when you vote for the Hallmarkies Podcast Awards, I will be very disappointed if Stacey Agdern does not win. She deserves to win for Best Writer. Her writing was the best this year. Plus, she wrote a novel that's also really cute. She deserves to win. Please vote for her. I just thought it was lovely. And you just were so invested in this couple. Yep. They had enough swoon-worthy moments. And I didn't mind that it was a party planning movie, because the party planning moments were really just excuses for getting the characters together to talk.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's done right. When they're spending all this time like, who should we have DJ the party, or like, what food should we get? I don't care about that. I'm not going to be eating this food. I'm not going to be going to this party. So that kind of stuff is not interesting. What's interesting is stuff that actually like impacts the characters and makes them grow and change. And this just did such a good job with that. And I just thought it's so hard in these movies because they're so limited as far as time, that the fact that you had so many characters that were well developed, and I felt like I knew and got an arc, that's very difficult. And she did a great job, I thought.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. And Emily Osment, I think, is just born to be in these movies. She's only done, this is her second. She needs to do more.
Yes.
Because she's so good, I think, she's for fantastic. This. I love Young and Hungry, her show. And I would love to get her co-star in Young and Hungry, Jonathan something, I forget his last name. Anyway, I would love to get him also in a Hallmark movie, because I think he would be very charming as well. But anyway, I thought this was excellent, and I'm going to give it a 4.75 crowns.
I think I'm about that. I think I'm there too. That's probably me.
Okay, now our next one is Our Christmas Journey on the 4th. This is Hallmark Movies Mysteries. Holly Robinson, Pete, Lyric Bent, and Nick Sanchez. And it's as a single mom and her teenage son with autism come to a crossroad during Christmas, she must learn to let go so he can flourish as she finds her own heart healing in unexpected ways. So what did you think overall of this one?
So I think this was the movie out of the three of them where I spent terrified for the crisis point in this movie. I was terrified as to what was going to happen there. And I literally was like sitting on the edge of my seat, nervous, because all of the various storylines were heading towards this crisis point, and I was terrified as to see what it was going to be. And I thought the performances were great. I think this movie needed an epilogue, but that's another story entirely. But I literally was nervous for all of these characters, because all of the things that they seem to want were in conflict with each other in certain ways / did not know what they wanted, if that makes any sense. And I was like so nervous for all of them because it could have all gone up in smoke real fast. And whether my nerves, and I think my nerves can absolutely be attributed to the fact that I also cared a lot about these characters, if that makes any sense. Like, I got engrossed in the performances, I got engrossed in the story, and I got terrified.
Yeah, I definitely felt some of that anxiety that you're talking about watching it, that you felt there was a certain degree of awkwardness about her behavior, the way that she was so clingy. But then also, like, is he going to be okay? Because she's so anxious. It made us as audience members feel anxious. And it's like, is this a good place? Why is she sending him here if she's so like nervous about it?
Yeah.
Like, is this like a bad place? Is this, it's like, is this going to take a turn? It's not, because it's Hallmark, but it kind of felt like.
Exactly. Is it going to be, is the mother going to cause him, her son to have a meltdown, like in the facility? Is the daughter going to lose her mind and cause trouble? Like, is, the father going to, leave? What's going to happen to the grandmother? Like, all of these variables cause this like such degree of anxiety. And like, I had no idea until it started to happen even how they were going to end this movie well. If that makes sense.
I thought
like
I agree. I thought, is this like, I was a little bit confused about why they weren't doing more to sort of reassure her that this was a good place. Like, it seemed like, I don't know, I felt like sort of panicky for her that she was so concerned. And it's not like when her son had been held underwater, which would be a traumatic event.
Yeah, which we learned later. And I was
glad, it's not,
I was like, okay, that's why.
Yeah, but it's not like it was there or at this place. And he's like much older now. And so I don't know. I was just kind of like, what is wrong with this place? Like, why is she so concerned?
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I tell you, my overall thoughts about this movie, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very sweet, but I don't think that they should have had a romance in this movie. I didn't feel the chemistry between the two of them. And I understand it's Hallmark, you have to have romance. I get it. But all things being equal, I think this movie would have been better if it was a Hall of Fame movie where in the end, they just decide to co-parent and be a happy family together. Like, that would have been much better. I just didn't feel the chemistry between them at all. I didn't feel like they really even liked each other very much, let alone loved each other.
I felt the beginnings of the return to chemistry, which is why I think this movie needed an epilogue.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that like as she let down her guard, especially during those moments at the dance, especially like when we get to the play, like towards the end, like I can see it, it starting to come in, like as she kind of like lets go of her, of that sort of overwhelming panic about Marcus, letting him back in, letting her ex-husband back in. I can see that. But I don't think there was enough time there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that it was enough time where like they should be living together again yet.
Yeah.
In a year again, like, like eight Gifts of Hanukkah, 1 year later, if they are still like dealing with each other, if they're still having those moments together, then sure.
Yeah.
But I understand. The thing is, like, I can totally see, like, yes, you know, forced proximity, only one guest house. You know, and the thing about that relationship, like, during this period of time where they're looking at the school, the parents are in the same house. They are at the best of each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
He's not working all the time, because you get the feeling that was part of the problem in the marriage. He's not working all the time. They actually are spending time together. He's spending time with their daughter. He's spending time with her. And like, which is why once she gets less anxious and panicked about Marcus, they are both able to have those moments. Am I making sense at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that. And I mean, obviously this is especially meaningful to Holly Robinson Peete, because her son Ryan has he's not Ryan. Ryan's the daughter's name. I forget his name all of a sudden. RJ. Yeah, RJ. Her son RJ has autism, and that was a challenge for her and her family of how best to help him. And he seems to be a wonderful young man and doing great. And it was fun to watch their little reality show that they had and see his progress. And that he, I think, is working for the Dodgers. When the show was on, at least that's what he was doing. And so, great young man. And so, obviously, this comes very close to home for her, and you could feel that closeness, I think, in her performance. I thought it was a good performance.
Definitely, she was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did also like the whole plot of Maya, the daughter, and her kind of feeling like she always has to take sort of the back seat. Mm-hmm. This is the second one, because Marcus is so demanding, and I'm sure that tons of people can relate to that. I mean, we didn't have anybody with special needs in my family, but even just being from a family with 6, you definitely had times where you needed to take a step back and be, you know, when my parents had little ones, because my mom had a baby when I was a freshman and a senior in high school. And so during those times, I definitely had to take a step back. And, you know, like my parents couldn't be at, you know, all the like swim meets or the events or different things like that, because they're caring for an infant. Like, you can't. And so, you know, that is a thing that, you know, that's part of being in a family, you know. And so I thought that was all really well done. What do you think of the grandma? Did you like her character, or was she too much?
I mean, here's what I think. I think she served as a really great buffer. I think she served as a wonderful buffer for the various family members. Like, she was the person who heard everybody, if that makes any sense. Like, everybody in that family has their like focus, if you will. And she had all of them. The father confided in her, the mother everybody confided in the grandmother. And I liked that aspect. And I think she also, like, everybody in that movie confided in the grandmother.
Well, and she was also sort of the truth teller to everybody. Yes. She was going to tell it like it is to everybody, and just sort of fit that role in the story well too.
Yeah.
And they have the wishing wreaths that they do.
Is that a thing that you guys do?
That was the first.
Okay.
I've never done a wishing wreath before, but
okay.
I think they probably had a little bit of a hard time working Christmas into this movie, because there was so much to cover that like making enough sort of Christmassy moments was probably challenging. I'm just guessing with the script. So they got like the school play or whatever at the center. I don't know what you call that place, where he gets to play Blitzen.
Yes.
Awesome. He's very excited about that. And then they make pomodors, which I have done before. Okay. And it's basically like you take an orange and you put cloves in the orange, And you can like make it an ornament. It smells really nice. So that was fun. I've never seen that in a Hallmark movie. It's tough to find traditions that haven't been covered to death. They go to that Christmas carnival, and there's a photo booth and
Tree lighting.
yeah. And this is where she finds out that the ex broke up with his, I guess, longtime girlfriend, Amanda. So they have the sort of a conversation. Mother, who is it that they find the star in the attic?
Yeah, it was her.
Yeah,
It was
her
it,
mother.
it was the person. Yeah, it was her mother. It was the
Okay, yeah.
woman who runs the guest house. Her mother.
Yeah, and it's okay to miss her. I do too. It was a nice moment.
That's really sweet.
And she says, "How can I stand back and watch the world break his heart?" And then the husband says, "Give him a chance to surprise you. He just might."
Yes.
So yeah, I think that was good.
Yeah.
And there was this relationship. I think her name was Morgan.
Yes. It was
Okay,
the sister
the-
of the. It was the sister. Yeah, it was the daughter of the woman who ran the guest house.
Yeah, and what was the boy's name? Did you write that down?
Maybe.
I just wrote down boy because I didn't know his name. But anyway, Maya and the boy
Yes.
make snow angels.
It's so
And-
cute.
Then this feather lands on her, and so then she uses it in her
And her wreath for her
in her
brother.
wreath. Yeah.
And she also uses it as a sign to finally tell her mother, "Hey, listen, I have been feeling second best."
Yeah, and she says, it hurt me that in our winter plans that my recital wasn't even a consideration.
Yeah, I was actually wondering at that point, like, how they were going to work that back into the story.
Mhm.
Because it was so important at the time. And I was like, okay, how are they going to work this back into it?
Yeah, and I thought it was a little bit weird. So they call her to the center, and there's Marcus is hurt. Come, and then she gets there, and they're like, it's just a Band-Aid. It was just a scrape, but we have to, by law or whatever, we have to call you. But like you could have easily just said he's had a scrape. You need to come, whatever, check on it. Instead, they like make her all worried. Oh no, he's like, been seriously injured. Like,
Here's the thing though, like I honestly think that like any call would send her nervous.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
fair.
what they're doing is they're justifying her nerves, and then on the way there, and then being like, "Oh, it's fine,"
Mhm.
when she gets there.
And
Because I
this is-
think, yeah, and
Yeah,
and
go
my
ahead.
heart at this point is like pounding, like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, like what's gonna happen? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, she's gonna take him home. She's gonna take him home. No!" Like,
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you just tell her on the phone everything's fine, everything, and she still probably would freak out, but not as much as if like, come
Yeah.
quickly, Marcus is injured. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't
like,
know.
this is,
Uh,
Marcus is in the infirmary. He's been injured, and like,
Yeah.
ah.
I was like, what? And so then she tells the whole story about the boys holding him underwater.
Yeah.
And she says, I swore I would never leave him out of my sight for fear what others would do to him. And I tell you what I thought about with this was Finding Nemo.
Yes.
when Marlin says, I promised I'd never let anything happen to him.
Yep.
And then Dory says, that's not very fun for poor, like, I forget she says Mario or
Yeah.
or whatever. It's no fun. Like, oh yeah, I promised I'd never let anything happen to him. So he's doing fine. And then she's also really nervous about him in the play.
Yeah, so of course, like
And
I'm
of
sitting there going, "Oh God, what's she gonna do? How's she gonna sabotage this?" Like literally, like my heart is like,
Yeah, and I mean, really, this movie was more about her,
Yeah.
than it was about
Anybody else, really.
about Marcus.
Yeah.
It was more about her, and I'm sure that tons of moms can definitely relate to this.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of us are moms, so,
Like-
but I'm sure that they can relate to it,
I'm
and
definitely thinking of a couple in question.
yeah,
for sure. One in
and
particular, but yeah,
yeah. And then she sees Morgan helping Marcus, and she realizes that everything will be okay.
And
that's when
that's an important moment.
Yeah.
For many reasons. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, like she could have caused so much havoc and trouble, but they had that moment right there when she was backstage and not allowed to be backstage.
Yeah.
That was like as I said, watching that scene where she was going back, like I knew where she was going. Like, and I think everybody else, like her, you know, the ex-husband, her ex-husband and her daughter, they both knew. They like knew where she was going.
Yeah.
Because he knew exactly what she was doing with the leftovers from the diner, like from the restaurant earlier on. Like, and so but the fact that like she was able to sort of be quiet about it and not like, I was like, okay, that is improvement.
Yeah. And so then a really sweet scene, maybe one of my favorites, is Maya. You think that she's made this wreath for the boy, though I can't remember his name. But it turns out she's made it for Marcus. And that was so sweet. And she says the feather symbolizes you'll fly high and be strong. That was great. So props to Maya. She's like the best person in this movie. And so then we find out that the ex-husband is taking a job at Hope Hills, and he wants the whole family to move there, and they're going to get back together. And then the end of the movie is Maya playing It Came Upon a Midnight Clear for everybody. So she gets her recital in the end. So yeah, this movie, I thought it was very sweet. I thought it was had some good emotion, good performances. I just wish they had just not done the romance and just had them in the end unite as a family that's co-parenting together, that's supporting each other. I think that would have been a lot more meaningful and moving than, I don't know, than
I want an epilogue.
Yeah, or
all you need
an epilogue.
Yeah, all you need for that romance to work is an epilogue.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like one more scene, like, okay, you know, a year later, you know, everybody's having Christmas together, you know, like perfect.
Yeah, I could see
you know
that.
they're still together, like they're at the school, like Morgan and the boy come over for dinner. They're all celebrating, like her new friends at Maya's new friends at her new school, like, you know, or they're like, or Maya is playing piano for the school, you know, for Hope Hills, like who knows? But like, you know, there could be a whole bunch of different things. But like,
yeah. But I just think it would have been meaningful to have ended it with them deciding they're going to work and have a productive family, even if they don't get back together. Like, I know it's a harder thing to sell for Hallmark, but it would have been, I think, quite powerful if that had been the ending. But
either that or an epilogue. That or an
epilogue. I agree. Yeah. But yeah, I give this one a 3.5.
I would say I would give it a 3.75 because Nick Sanchez was fantastic.
He was very good. Very, very good. So there we go. That's the 3 movies that we're talking about. I enjoyed all 3 of them to different extents. So there we go. Let us know what you think of these 3 movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And make sure you check out Stacey's books. They're super fun. And let us know what you think. And Stacey, how can people follow you and your content and everything?
I am findable on Twitter as NYStacey. Instagram is SAgdern. StaceyAgdern.com is the website. Stacey A. Agdern is my author Facebook page. And my books are published by Thule Publishing and available wherever books are sold.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please take a look over there. And also make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please take a second and leave your ratings and reviews. 5-star reviews. We sure appreciate them so much. Helps people to find the podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patron group where we're having our patron watch along next week with director David Weaver. And we're going to watch Christmas Town with Candace Cameron Bray. So that's going to be super fun. He's going to have a lot of behind the scenes details. So any tier level can participate. So please take a look and check out the Patron group. And then we also have the merch store, which has tons of fun designs, holiday and otherwise. So if you are looking, the last day to order for Christmas is Thursday. So when this airs on Wednesday, the last day to order for Christmas is Thursday. So get in your Hallmarkies postables, Hardee's, all of that inspired items, plus just for the movie fan in your life. We have tons of fun designs. Please take a look at the merch store. We appreciate it so, so much. And thanks so much, Stacey. I really appreciate you talking with me about these movies. I look forward to it every year.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a joy every year. And I really, really love coming on and chatting with you. So. And I want to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you.
on your very recent awards and promotions.
Yes, thank you. I got made a member of the Hollywood Critics Association. And so that was very exciting, very fun. So yeah, thank you so much. And we just wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy late Hanukkah, and hope y'all are having a wonderful season. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.